So, you've watched Stranger Things 4 Volume 2, and like us, you don't know what to do anymore. When will we see the gang again? Will anything ever be the same? Now, one thing at a time. So let's sew up some of our wounds together, shall we? In this video, we're talking about everything you missed while you were sobbing endlessly like us. Let's just jump right in. Before we begin, it's safe to say that beyond this point, we'll be diving into major spoiler territory. So don't say we didn't warn you, folks. All right, let's get started. First up, we're looking at episode 8. The Duffer Brothers didn't skimp on the references and callbacks to classic 70s and 80s movies. Volume 2 is chock full of cool Easter eggs and even some 90s ones that we'll get into near the end. So definitely stick around for that, guys. But first, we're getting into the Papa episode. Number 1, the Demogorgon Lab. We're starting off with our favorite mom and dad, Joyce and Hopper. When the two find the Demogorgon Lab and the Russian war camp, they discover a room where multiple beasts are being held in giant liquid tanks. But if you've got your alien hats on, you'll notice that the scene looks eerily similar to the one from Alien Resurrection. The movie came out in '97, so it's not very 80s, but it might just be the Duffer Brothers giving a subtle nod to Winona Ryder, who played Anna Lee Call in Resurrection. Pretty cool. And for number 2, we have the Michael Myers mask. Now, after the kids come up with a plan to take Vecna down once and for all, they need a car to get to Warzone and grab the weapons they need. The problem is, Eddie needs a disguise because he's still the most wanted man in all of Hawkins. So he asks Max to help him out. She gives him her Michael Myers mask, which looks surprisingly good on him if we say so ourselves. But this isn't just a cool reference to the Halloween franchise, it's also a throwback to the Halloween episode in season 2, when we saw Max spook Mike, Will, Dustin, and Lucas wearing the same mask. But this next detail's a bit harder to catch if you're not a 16 Candles fan. On to number 3, the Molly Ringwald outfit. The gang heads to Warzone to grab some Vecna-killing weapons. But guess who else is in there? Vicky. Robin looks at her and her boyfriend kissing from a distance. And we get a good look at their outfits. Vicky's wearing a hat that looks really similar to Molly Ringwald's in 16 Candles. Actually, when you factor in Vicky's hairstyle, she looks nearly identical to Ringwald. And now, the episode that broke us, the piggyback. Can we all just agree that none of us were ready for this episode? It did not let up on the tension. But hey, at least we got some more cool Easter eggs, right? First up, Joyce and Hopper's shirts. When Joyce and Hopper are getting changed in Yuri's hideout, all they can find are shirts that show Hulk Hogan fighting off Demogorgons. If you were a kid in the 80s, Hogan was probably on every TV channel you flipped through. He was a phenom back then, so it's nice to see the Duffer Brothers giving the Hulkamania a fun little nod. Now for number 2, more iconic quotes. Speaking of fun little nods to 80s phenoms, we got some iconic quotes from Star Wars and Stranger Things 4. In the piggyback, Murray says, "I got a bad feeling about this," which is a running gag from Star Wars. Luke Skywalker first says it in A New Hope, and it's appeared at least once in every movie after that. We mentioned a 90s reference in the beginning. Well, remember when Steve, Nancy, and Robin survive after nearly dying from the tentacles and the Upside Down? Robin says, "I don't believe in a higher power, but that was a miracle." And that directly echoes a famous scene between Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta in Pulp Fiction. We loved that one. Now, if you go back to the Hellfire Club episode, Dustin tells Eddie to never tell him the odds. This is another iconic Han Solo line from Empire Strikes Back, where he tells C-3PO to never tell him the odds when they're flying through an asteroid field. For number 3, we have Will's painting. In one of the most emotional moments from Volume 2, he reveals to Mike the painting he's been working on all summer. We don't see it properly because of Mike's hand obscuring the details a bit, but it's obvious that it features the original gang from the beginning of season 1. It's interesting to note that neither Elle nor Max appears in the painting. We think it's a reference to the previous seasons when Will felt resentful of the other 3 giving all their attention to the new girls and neglecting their D&D club. But maybe it's just a sweet reminder of the bond the 4 friends share and how friendship prevails over evil. The painting also features a 3-headed dragon the boys are fighting. The 3 heads are noteworthy because they might be a reference to the 3 big bads they've faced so far: the Demogorgon, the Mind Flayer, and Vecna. And now for number 4, Sarah's blue hair tie. One of the most consistent things in Stranger Things is Sarah's hair tie. Hopper wore it on his wrist from the very first episode of the series. It's a constant reminder of his daughter and also a source of strength, but he passes it on to his adopted daughter Elle at the end of season 2. By season 4, there's another layer of meaning to the hair tie. Elle wears it as a reminder of Hopper's love for her, and you can see it clearly on her wrist when she realizes she's ready to help her friends back in Hawkins. We love little details like that. Next up is number 5, Moby's "When It's Cold I'd Like to Die." Even though we had anticipated speculated and theorized about his death in Volume 2, we had no idea how hard we'd be bawling at the sight of Eddie Munson breathing his last. What makes it even more heartbreaking is Moby's When It's Cold I'd Like to Die playing in the background. But this isn't the first time we've heard it. Back in the finale of Season 1, the song is played when Joyce and Hopper perform CPR on Will, and the scene is intercut with flashbacks of Hopper's daughter's death. But we weren't really ready for it to start playing right after Eddie tells Dustin he loves him. Alright, we're gonna go cry for an hour now. On to number 6, Max's memory. Okay, next up is Max. Her plan to escape Vecna and the Upside Down is by choosing one of her happiest moments and hiding in it. Turns out, Max's best memory is the snowball dance from Season 2, where she danced for the first time with Lucas and all her friends. But Vecna finds her there anyway. The darkness slowly creeps into the memory, and we see balloons bursting and blood pouring out of them. This is a clear reference to the 1976 horror classic, Carrie. The famous prom scene had Carrie White get drenched in blood. Plus, take a look at that dreary blue aesthetic of Max's infected snowball memory. It's the same aesthetic Carrie had. There's another detail you might have not noticed immediately. Why was Vecna able to find her there so quickly? Well, remember how Will walked to the parking area at the end of Season 2 and saw the Mind Flayer watching the high school from the Upside Down? Yep, that's how Vecna knew where to find her. And finally, number 7, the Talisman. We're gonna cap this off with another Max reference. She goes through a lot in Season 4, especially in the Dear Billy and Piggyback episodes. In the season finale, her bones got broken like a noodle cake and she spent the epilogue recovering at a hospital. But Lucas is by her side and he reads her a section from Stephen King's The Talisman. The section is about this character opening his eyes, so it could be Lucas trying to get Max to finally wake up from her coma. But that's not the only reason why the scene's so interesting. If you've read the book, you'll know that the Duffer Brothers are basically setting up Season 5. See, in The Talisman, a parallel universe called The Territories exists right next to ours. Jack Sawyer, the main character, ventures into the parallel world to try and save his dying mother in the real world, but he quickly realizes that the place contains 20s, basically a twin version of someone living in our dimension. What's interesting is that some 20s can flip between universes, and on rare occasions, when someone dies in the real universe, their twin can switch back and forth between the two universes. See where we're going with this? So, will Season 5 feature an epic quest into the Upside Down to save Max's parallel self? Guess we'll find out when Season 5 drops. And that's a wrap. Thanks for watching, folks. So, did you spot all the hidden references? Did we miss out on any? Tell us down in the comments. And as always, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on more awesome content. See you in the next one.